Alright, y'all, so now I'm watching this show called Anatomy of a Scandal. This show has 6 episodes in it, they're about 45 minutes apiece. So let's get straight to episode 1. Now we got this lady by the name of Kate, she's a judge, she just finished off one of her big cases. And basically the whole episode, she's just in the room reviewing of her paperwork and stuff like that. And then we have this lady by the name of Sophie, she's going to this guy named Mark's birthday party or something. There's a bunch of high delegates in there and whatnot. So she tries to make a phone call to figure out where James is. Now James is her husband. So then they show James, he's handling something with some clients and whatnot. So he gets this mysterious phone call, and once he gets it, he automatically leaves the office and then tells Sophie to head on home with him. Sophie gets the message, she leaves the party and comes straight home. Once they both finally get to the house, she sees James, and it's like this somber tone. So apparently James was having this affair with this lady by the name of Olivia. So word is getting out, somebody's going to expose this scandal. Now when it comes to Sophie and James, they've been married for 12 years, they got 2 kids. The thing is, they got to get ahead of this story because they're both some type of political figures out in London or Great Britain or wherever the hell they're at. I think they're in London. So they call this PR guy that they're used to. He tells them when he makes this announcement, just don't go into any details and stuff like that. Make yourself look like a good figure. We know that Sophie's on board with minimizing social damage and whatnot. But you can tell in the back of her mind, she's like, man, that's some bullshit. So apparently this was somebody that he worked with at a certain point in time in the office. And he's been smashing this chick for like 5 months. Mostly at work, but in hotel rooms too and whatnot. So he swears to her it's over and done with. I know she's thinking in the back of her mind, like, you've been smashing this bitch for like 5 months. So we find out back in his heyday, James was like some type of libertante. Now, what is that? Basically like a frat boy that did good in school. But they would do crazy stuff like anal chugging with beers and shit. This doesn't bother Sophie too much because back in the day, she used to be around for all that shit. And that's actually how she first met James. I guess he was like a scholar in school. He used to run the track team. So basically their life now is high-ranking politicians. And when I say high, I mean they both know the prime minister and shit. So we get to this one scene where Sophie wakes up out of bed. She's thinking to herself, where the hell is James at? So then she turns on the news and we see James doing this announcement. And he's basically getting ahead of the story. He does his best to make himself look humble and forgivable, you know, with the transpiring events and everything that happened during the scandal. Basically trying to soften the blow as much as he can. So then later on in the day, she goes to pick up her kids. Now her best friend's this chick named Emily. And that's pretty much her go-to for advice and whatnot. She picks up her kids, drops them off at home, and then she goes to James's place of work. While she's there, you already know the deal. She's getting all these sympathetic looks from people that are there. She gets in the elevator, she starts thinking about all the places that they could have had sex at. Every now and then we get these flashbacks to when James first met Olivia, going out to get drinks and shit. Then we get another flashback where James was smashing Olivia in the hotel and whatnot. And then she finally meets up with James. They sit at the table, they have lunch. He tries to give her this real sympathetic speech. You know she's thinking in the back of her mind is fucked up, but at the same time she still wants this to work. So when he escorts her to a car so she can leave, she goes over and gives him a kiss and it's like, alright, they're trying to mend something. So now when James is going back to the office, we flash back to Kate. Now the papers that Kate is looking at is papers about the state versus James. And you're like, what the fuck did he do? And then the papers is basically like evidence. It shows Olivia's face in one corner. It looks like they're in like some type of hotel or something. Then it shows these traces of blood. We're like, the fuck? James goes to his office. We get this letter. We never really know what the letter's about. But as he's about to leave work, these detectives come out of nowhere. And we know that James and Olivia was having sex, but the detectives tell him it's a rape case. I'm like, the fuck, dude? And that's how the first episode ends. So I'm thinking to myself, this is wild, but is it more than that? And then I'm thinking to myself, is Olivia even still alive? Because the only thing we really see are flashbacks. Because we never even heard her have conversations or, you know, talk in real time. And then when we got the information about the scandal, we don't know if Olivia sent something to him or somebody else sent this for him to get this back. You know what I'm saying? So basically, this shit getting deep. Bottom line, I'm going to check out the rest of these episodes. We want to get it cracking. Anatomy of a Scandal, nigga.